think are the things that we need to improve upon, the weaknesses perhaps, because that's in line with the spirit of SWOT. And then the threats and perhaps the opportunities as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the historical journey of Malaysia has been very good. We've got an impressive, very impressive run so far. We're still, I think, one of the places, a center for regional trade, including Singapore there. We still have a very, very good, very robust economy based on, well, shall we say, the abundant resources that we have. Those are the things that keeps us afloat so far. We have a relatively young multi-ethnic population, which will help us later, and a relatively stable political environment. I use the word relatively stable. Now, this is my view. This is what I think is right with Malaysia. You may disagree, and we can discuss in a while. I think one of the biggest developments that has happened, that has made Malaysia a little bit more strong than it used to be, stronger than it used to be, is the rise of a two-party coalition. Rise of a two-party coalition, which means, that practically means now we have checks and balances in government, and that's a good thing. It's a very good, a very strong development. That's important because, you see, as Malaysia continues to develop, we need to hear more voices saying aye and more voices saying nay. That's important. So that's a pretty good development, and that's a plus for Malaysia. The other thing that I look at is the fact that despite these two-party coalitions being in existence, I see a threat as in a threat, with a D, not a T, that it is still pro-business, still pro-investment, and it passes across the spectrum of that political divide. A good thing as well. The other thing that I look at is we're still ahead, and I'd like to hear what Jennifer said just now. You know, I just want to share with you that we're still the third highest GDP per capita in ASEAN. Third only after Singapore and Brunei. That's not bad. That's not bad. We still have a lot going for us. We have a very sophisticated economy. We have very advanced infrastructure for this region. So these are the strong points. And despite a small population, we're only 29 million strong, I think, at last count. Our local consumption has been growing. Yes, Zaidi says the household debt should be controlled, and I agree. I agree. I've got my son to cut his 2 credit cards already. Imagine being 27 and being offered 4 credit cards. I think that's not right. But he's done the right thing. He cut both his credit cards. Now he's got to pay for them. And the other thing is, as a nation, we've got a pretty strong balance sheet. The corporate balance sheet is good. Otherwise, Canada wouldn't be looking at us when we were looking for purchase of their Progress Energy company over there. Or even better, see in London. They wouldn't have given it to us if our balance sheet wasn't that good. So, net, not too bad. Net, not too bad. But what are the weaknesses? What are the weaknesses? I think the major weakness here, effectively, is we still continue to rely a lot on trade, international trade. Heavy reliance on export means that we are vulnerable to whatever external shocks that may happen. We need to be able to buffer that a little bit. That's important. And the other thing, one major weakness that I see, and I think quite a few people will agree with me here, is that we have, how do I use this word nicely? A human resource shortage in key industries. While the country has ample capital to acquire technology, to acquire skills abroad, there is a shortage of available labor to support this transition. That is worrying. Okay? There is a perception that while all these ETP programs is paying off, the pace is too slow sometimes for us to achieve the goals of 2020. A few argue that the ETP could have underestimated that daunting task of changing attitudes and skills, and that's important, especially in education and science. Just as an example, our R&D expenses nationally is only 0.6% of the GDP. 0.6%, that's small, compared to Singapore, which is about 2.3%, or South Korea at 3%. So relatively low. And we need to push that up, ratchet that up a little bit. And we have threats, ladies and gentlemen. Competition from the region, our regional neighbors, especially for FDI. Although the tech side looks good, we still have problems over there. While FDI is important, I think it is just a buffer. It is not the main engine. And please do not think that while FDI is important, it should be the one element that we should be pushing upwards. I think more rightly now, to counter this threat, we need to improve, we need to develop our SME side, because that's where the dynamics come in. The local dynamics will come from the local companies. FDIs are good, but it's a temporary buffers, transitions as we grow stronger in the economy. The other thing I look at is our weakness at least, is our low headline inflation. IMF puts it at 2.5 or something to that effect. But then again, that I think is influenced a lot by the subsidies we give on transport, on fuel and food. And we know that these subsidies cannot last. We will have to pull that out. So this artificially, shall we say, engineered 2.5 is a lot higher than that. That's a threat, and we need to look at that. But all is not doom and gloom, I think, from the layman's point of view. With regards to the lack of skilled, knowledgeable people, then we look at what we have in terms of our policy. At every budget, the 2013 budget last year was an exception also. We have 25% of the budget meant for education. So which means we're ratcheting up that skill side. Only education, the problem with education is it takes a bit of time before it gets traction. So the future looks good from where we stand. Yeah. The other thing is energy. Energy prices. People worry about that. But Petronas tells us, don't worry, we still have about 20.2 billion barrels of oil equivalent, culminating to about 17 to 20 years of reserves that we have. And then the current investments in trying, enhance oil recovery techniques, I think that will increase it a few more years, so that's not too bad. What else? Our strong efforts in trying to provide alternative energy sources, renewable energy sources. That bodes well for Malaysia. And our counter to this external environment, we're pushing very hard for more regional trade exchanges, and that's not bad because you see ASEAN is a lot bigger than the EU or the Arab world. The ASEAN economy combined is a lot bigger than India. So those are the bright spots that I see looking at Malaysia as a nation and where we're going. I put it to you, my 10 minutes is up. Okay, Dr. Moderator, back to you.
Thank you.